remember when altars could only be formed through some type of corruption? You know, Grail Mud, or losing a battle of wills with one that wants to fornicate with the entire planet. I sure do. So what exactly did Okita become an altar? Well, she made the exact same deal what OG Emiya did, and made a bargain with mankind's collective unconsciousness. Welcome to a Moron's Guide to Okita Alter. Once upon a time, I actually intended on rolling on Okita Alter as I lacked an AoE alter ego, and her banner immediately afterwards came with the lady that breaks farming over her knee, kind of like how Bane broke Batman's back, and a character who actually has a quasi-unique skill. So, yeah, she found herself yeeted off my list faster than one can say bye. To make matters worse for her is Best Alter Ego King Protea comes out less than a year afterwards. But for those of you still interested, how do you make use of Tanned Okita? Well, I'm here to tell you despite the fact I've never used her and probably never will use her. Her first skill is Furthest Earth, which gives her a hybrid quick buster buff, useful given her deck. Which, yeah, 30% isn't exactly lackluster, but you know, what can you do? Her second skill is Persistence, which, once fully upgraded, gives her 30% Noble Phantasm gauge, an increase to 500% star absorption, and a 20% attack buff for 3 times for 3 turns. And her final skill would be Boundlessness A, which gives her an increased MP damage of up to 30%, and evasion for 1 attack for 3 turns. There is actually some interesting thing Okita's kit actually allows her to do. For starters, she is able to hit all 3 major buff types, attack, NP damage, and buster card effectiveness, without any outside support, which I think is incredibly rare, if not outright unique. The downside is you have to wait for a strengthening quest to get the attack buff, which is in itself lackluster as it's on a 3 attack timer. And the other is each one is fairly modest, capping out at 30%, and Persistence itself as a skill is fairly clustered given you have 3 different effects to try and maximize the use out of. And while Furthest Earth may seem useless, as it provides a buster quick buff, Okita Alter does have a considerable hit count on her quick cards, which allows her to do at least somewhat decent Stargen. Fun fact about Okita Alter, before I get on to her Noble Phantasm, is that she actually predicts the class of Summer Okita a good year in advance based on her Ascension mats and skill materials. But on to her Noble Phantasm. It is Zinken Mayuku Saden, an AoE Buster NP that debuffs the opponent's Buster resistance on Overcharge. What can be said, honestly? It's just strange that the first non-AoE 5-star Saber's first counterpart has the exact same effect of firing a laser sword. That's just an insult to injury, but yeah. Moving on to team comps, I'm going to be blunt. Okita is a selfish attacker, which means you need to run her with supports that can feed her with the usual. More offense, more defense, more crits. Okita Alter really needs that defense, as she has a one-time ability that's simply not going to cut it. And naturally, I would have to recommend Double Merlin, Double Waver, as per usual, but we all know that's boring. So instead, I offer the team comp of Maximum Glass Cannon, Nightingale, and Penicilla, Queen of the Amazons. I heard you like glass cannons. Of course, running 2 Berserkers on the front line is a recipe for disaster, but Parth does provide party-wide attack and buster buffs, and is more than capable of mangling foes all by herself, while Nightingale provides targetable heals, targetable buster buffs. However, for newer players or people just running on a budget, I have some good options on that front as well. Any combination of Shakespeare, Leonidas, and Paul Bunyan are more than effective. Leonidas can save Okita Alter with his 2 taunts, and the stars he generates off his MP can be quite effective. Shakespeare himself has a considerable party-wide Buster buff, a skill that is also shared by Leonidas and Bunyan. Bunyan also comes with 2 separate defensive debuffs, one tied to her Noble Phantasm, and another tied to a skill. And as for CEs, well, it's all about punching riders, assassins, and casters as hard as physically possible. Okita Alter is too brittle to debate the defensive game, and as such, you're going to want offensive CEs. Launch Order provides quick a Buster, and along that thread, Wolves of Mibu is a near perfect option, and the last event gave you this, so you should still have it. If you still just want Buster or Buster Crit, Limit Zero, Victor of the Moon, otherwise, Aerial Drive, Starry Night. Look, I can go on forever about good Buster CEs. Again, Golden Sumo is excellent for attack, and on paper, I would actually recommend Dress for Demons as an interesting choice, as it gives you starting charge, crit damage, and Star Gen alongside Castle of the Sun. I'll repeat Black Grail alongside Heaven's Feel and Halloween Princess to provide even more NP damage. But overall, Okita Alter is a glass cannon. If you can take care of her, she'll take care of your enemies. Fail to do that, and don't want to see what happens to you there, buddy. Comes with the territory of swearing your soul to the unfeeling consciousness of humanity. This has been your Moron's Guide to Okita Alter. And for those of you who are still listening, please like the video and subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. I also tend to stream on Twitch, link in the description below. Feel free to join me for a few laughs, and I will most certainly be farming the rest of this event. I hope you had a good time, and we'll see you then.